Hey, I'm Rachel J, and this is Cultivator Kitchen. Today we are talking about why budgeting is awesome and how to make a budget that supports your goals. So today I hope that by the end of this video, you will know why budgeting is awesome and why I'm so passionate about it, and that it's not something super boring, but something really necessary to make your money work for you and get you where you want to go. So the first reason that you want a budget is you want to know, where is your money going? Where is all your time and energy you've put in to earn that money? Where is it being spent? And the other thing you want is a goal. What are you making money for? Obviously, we all don't want to be just paying bills and doing the same thing over and over. Everyone has a dream or a goal that they're working towards. And a lot of times people will say to me, well, how do I get there? And the answer is you have to make a plan. So to me, a budget is a plan to get where you want to go. And the first thing you need to know where you're trying to go is to have a vision for your future. So your budget should really be built around your vision for yourself and your future life. And then you can decide, okay, how am I going to get there with the money that I make? I love helping my friends and family with their budgets because it is so exciting. When you realize that you are in control of where your money goes and how it gets spent, I find it really empowering. When you realize that a budget is just a tool to get you to the future that you want to create for yourself, it is so empowering. So I hope this video is going to empower you to get started right away. And if you have any questions throughout the video, just leave them in a comment below. So to get started, you need some sort of budgeting tool. I'm going to show you two that I use, and I am not sponsored by these, so please use whatever you like, but I just picked two that I use, which are completely free. So the first one is mint.com. You can use a bunch of these different online banking tools that are free, and Mint is one I've been using for years. The advantages of Mint is everything is automated. You can pull in all of your accounts, your transactions. It will try to categorize them for you. You can set up your own categorizations. It's got fun tools in there. It's got goal setting. It's got a budget. So it's a lot of the stuff I'm going to show you today, but built in, so it's easier for you to get started and manage it over time. It also tracks property value if you have a property, and it will give you a free credit score on a regular basis. So those are kind of some bonuses for why I keep it. The downsides are, because it's free, you're gonna get a lot of advertisements, and I find that really annoying. And their phone app, while it's nice that it has a phone app, it's not great. So I tend to only use Mint on the PC. And probably the biggest downside to Mint is, for some reason, it does not let couples share their accounts. So my husband and I like to co-manage our finances, but unless I want to make a login and give him that password, which is not a great way to go about it, there's really no way for us to jointly look at our Mint. So that's kind of why I also use a second option. So the second option that I use is Google Drive Sheets, or Google Sheets. And it is pretty much like an Excel spreadsheet, but in your Google Drive. I love Google Sheets because it's completely free. It's already tied to your Google account. You can access it on your phone really, really nicely, or on the PC, and it's customizable. You're gonna make it, so nothing's automated is the downside, but you get to create exactly what you want it to be there. And of course, it's shareable. You can have multiple collaborators. So if you're trying to do your finances with your whole family, you can do that. And if you want to help out a friend or family member with their budget, you can create a draft using a template that you already made and then share it with them. So it's just very shareable and secure. And the downside, which I've already mentioned, is nothing will be automated if you're going to do it the Sheets way. You will have to manually enter your income, your expenses, everything on a regular basis. So I'm going to show you how to do this with Mint and Google Sheets, but use whatever tool works for you. Do you have a favorite tracking tool for your budget? Leave a comment below and let me know what you guys are using, and that will help other people to get ideas as well. So let's get into it. The first step is to have a goal in mind. What is the goal for your money? What is your savings goal? I like to say that I will save a certain percentage of my income every year. And then of course, I like to also put why we're doing that, which is our ultimate vision of what we want to spend our money on. And whether for you that's paying off debt, or like me, getting to financial independence, or whether you want to take a year off from work and travel the world, whatever it is you're looking to do, that is going to be the first thing that you start with your budget, is what is your goal that you are working towards. This is going to give your budget purpose, as well as make it much more enjoyable and exciting to work on your finances, because now you know what awesome thing is at the end of that. And if you don't know, start brainstorming. What do you want your future to look like? What percentage of your income do you want to save and why? And maybe do some soul searching first and think about what that looks like for you. The next step is to pull in all of your accounts, and I mean all of them. Your checking accounts, your savings accounts, all of your credit cards, any investments, brokerage accounts, loans that you have, absolutely everything. You want that in one spot. So if you're using mint.com, you're going to import those. It's super easy to do. You just type in your bank name. And if you're doing sheets, then you're going to have to go to each of the sites for your different accounts and then go write them down in your sheet. The next step is to make an income and expense tracker. You want to know all the money that's coming in that you're making from all the different avenues that you make money at, and you want to know everything that's going out, everything that you're spending. Hopefully is to see that your income each month is going to be coming in more than you're spending, so there's always some to set aside and save for your goals. And at this step, I recommend to look at least 3 months worth of transactions. And of course, a year would be better. But if you're doing this manually, that might take a long time. So if you need to, set aside a weekend and make this a weekend project. If you're doing this in mint.com, it's going to pull all of your account history and transactions, and it's going to be there for you quite easily. As you're pulling in your transactions, which are your income and your expenses, categorize them. So I like to make really clear-cut categories for each of my items. Is this a mortgage payment? Is this my internet bill or my gas bill or my water bill? Is this groceries or a restaurant? That's a big one that I like to distinguish between groceries versus eating out. Is this a shopping expense, right? Am I going out and buying clothes and jewelry and shoes or whatever you spend money on? So kind of start putting categories on everything. And this can begin to be really eye-opening. A lot of times people will say, well, I don't need a budget. I know I don't spend that much on eating out, or I don't spend that much on shopping. And when you start pulling in the transactions and putting categories on everything, you might see that some areas you're spending way more than you actually thought you were. And when you find those good pressure points as you're going through this activity, write them down so you can come back to them later. That might be an area that you can reduce some spending in your budget. So the very next step, now that we've got all of our goals, our accounts, our income and expenses by category, we can finally set up our budget tab. So for each category that you identified in your expenses, go ahead and make a budget for each of those. I like to make them on a monthly basis and then have at the bottom a total for the year. Not everything we spend is spent monthly. So if you have an annual expense, you can divide that by 12 and then put the total at the bottom so everything looks nice. Organize it however you like. And then I like to have a running total across the bottom that shows me the total annual cost of each of the things in my budget. And at the end, add all those up to show how much I'm spending a year on my budget. And that can also help give you a lot of perspective. And this is the time that you want to look at those pressure points you found, things that you're spending way more on that don't meet your goals, and really think, does this expense that I'm spending all this time and money on really gonna get me to where I'm trying to go? So this is the time that you want to cancel extra credit cards or subscriptions to things you don't really need. Cancel them now, take them out of your budget. And anything else you can cut back on. I think that when you budget is the best time because you're super motivated to go ahead and remove stuff that you can from your spending habits. Just go ahead and get rid of them now and make sure that your budget is fitting your goals. And if you're setting your budget up correctly, the first thing you should do is pay yourself. That's right. Pay yourself first. So where is the first amount of money in your budget? It should be going towards your savings or investments for that future goal that you have. And the second thing that should be in your budget, if you need it, is paying off debt. So you want to get rid of debt as quickly as you can, and that should be a top priority in your budget. There should be some going every single month towards paying off your debt if that's something that you have. And that can be student loans, mortgages, whatever you've got, credit cards, and it varies by person. I'm not gonna go into it a ton here because I'm gonna make a whole nother video on paying off debt. So stay tuned for that. And the third thing that you should have in your budget is basic living expenses, the stuff you absolutely need to pay to get through your day. So your housing expenses, your bills, and your food. Anything else outside of that, I consider extras. And that doesn't mean they shouldn't be in your budget. There's obviously going to be extras that we all choose, but just know that you're choosing them and make a purposeful choice. Once you've got your budget all set, take another critical look at it and really ask yourself, does this support the type of life that I want to live? Is this supporting my future self? And I think if you always look at your budget in terms of the future lens, it really helps it to be meaningful and purposeful and not just set on what you spend right now, and you can challenge some of those habits. And you don't want to just make your budget based on your past transaction averages. So if you average out how you've already been spending things over the past few months, when you look at your transactions, don't just take that number straight into your budget and say, well, that's what I spend, that's good enough. I look at every single thing and see, is there a way that I can make that lower? And an example would be, let's say that you noticed you spend a few $100 every single month on shopping, on clothes and purses and shoes or makeup or whatever you like to shop for. And you just went ahead and put that straight in your budget. And you might look at that and say, actually, my closet is full and I don't need any new clothes. Maybe I take that out of my budget, and when I really need something, it's gonna go in my other category, and I see how low I can get that. So that's just one example of something you can look at a little more critically. Finally, I like to take my expense tracker, my income and expense tracker, and tie it to my budget. So at the top of each expense category, I will put a link to the actual budget minus my total expenses. So I can see throughout the year how the amount that I've allocated for myself is dwindling, and that helps reinforce what I should and shouldn't be spending in that area when I come back and put in my transactions. And of course, if you're doing this through Mint, it's going to update all your transactions for you and it'll track your goals. But if you're doing it through Sheets, you will have to set aside maybe one day a week to come in and put all your stuff in your tracker. And Mint isn't perfect either. Sometimes you have to tell it how to categorize things correctly. So that might just be a good practice in general, is to come in at least once a week, look at your finances, and update anything that needs updating. And that's another point I want to make, is your budget should be a living, breathing thing. It's not set in stone and you don't touch it till next year. It can change with your goals. It can change with your situation. Just make some check-in points for yourself. I like to do every 3 months. You could say every 6 months, to just look through your goals again, look through your budget and see what needs to be adjusted. And once you've done this for at least a year and you have some history to look back on, this process will get easier and easier. And that is it. It's really quick and simple. I hope this video empowers you to get started on your budget today. Leave any questions that you have below. And this is part of a new series I'm doing, and it is just getting started. My next video will be 25 things I don't buy that save me at least $10,000 a year. So the first thing, of course, if you want to save more, is to buy less, and that'll be the next video that I'm sharing with you. And of course, there's a ton more coming. So if you're new here and you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell next to it, and you'll be notified of new videos. See you guys next time.